two greatest events in human history are the great change, environmental change coming to the world and all that that will produce for us. And the second is humanity's engagement with intelligent life in the universe. Intelligent life that is already here, intervening in our world. These two great events, more than anything else, will shape the future and destiny of humanity and our ability to be a free people in a universe where freedom is rare. What I'm going to tell you regarding this greater community is something that no one on earth could know, not even myself. It had to come from revelation, and it has come from revelation. For God's new message to the world, God has thrown open the doors to the universe, our local universe, so we can understand what life is like out there, to prepare us for the realities of that greater community that are already affecting our world today and have been with us for some time. It is a very big reality and a really great change. The declining conditions of the world create a perfect opportunity for this presence in our world, which is not a visitation, it is an intervention. An intervention that functions in secrecy without human approval or agreement. It operates indiscriminately around our world, affecting nations, governments, and individuals in very profound and unfortunate ways. For now, we are the native peoples of this world. And we have only to look at the history of native peoples' engagement with foreign powers and what that has done, the consequences that that has done to the native people's lives and reality and future. These are the lessons of intervention we must now heed, that life in our world has given us, our history has given us, even our natural sense has given us. For we are now the native peoples of the world, facing intervention by forces we do not understand. We don't understand how they're organized, their motivations, what fuels them, what holds them back, what gives them power, and other ways in which they are weak. And in light of that, what gives humanity power and what keeps us weak. The declining resources of the world, the changing environment of the world has created an opportunity for this intervention. Long in the planning it has been. Watchful eyes have been watching us. And a presence has been growing in our world for the last half century. Governments are not revealing what they know, yet people are having sightings and even direct encounters with this presence, with some very unfortunate consequences. It is important here that you not think that there's a good intervention and a bad intervention. For no true ally of humanity would intervene in our world in this way and try to subvert the authority of this world and human faith in that authority, to try to operate in a clandestine manner, trying to alter human perception, the direction of human religion, and the economic forces that are strong within our world to their own benefit. It is the one conspiracy we really must be concerned with, for it holds the greatest consequence for the future and freedom of this world. Humanity is becoming weaker in the face of the great waves of change. We're unprepared for these great waves of change. We're becoming weaker as we face our economies, which cannot grow as they have grown in the past, and the ever-growing numbers of people that are sharing the resources of the world who increasingly cannot sustain themselves. It is a time of continual crisis and concern and upheaval. You can feel this within yourself. You can see it around you. You can sense it. Beyond what you want or beyond what you don't want to deal with is this growing reality. We live in a beautiful world of splendid biological resources in a universe of barren worlds. In that universe, as the new message tells us, all nations are seeking resources. For the more technological societies need ever-growing numbers of resources, even beyond what they can provide. Great networks of trade and commerce exist in this part of the universe. and worlds such as ours become prized by those who are aware of us. War is suppressed in our part of the universe, the new message tells us. But clever ways to intervene and to influence native peoples such as ourselves exceeds what even we're aware of today. Humanity is imperiled in this way. Imperiled from within, from the fear of collapse, from the collapsing structures of our world internally, and we're imperiled by the threat of intervention and subjugation from beyond. It is a very complicated reality, but the new message reveals it to us very, very clearly. And I'll be speaking of it directly in other recordings. What's important to realize now is that these things are interconnected. The weaker humanity becomes in facing and dealing with the great waves of change, the greater the opportunity for those small groups, not great groups, small groups, who are here in the world attending to extend their influence over the thinking, feelings, and future of humanity. It is a grave warning, but a necessary one. And it actually holds things of great value for us. For the great waves of change and the intervention that is occurring in the world today are the only two things that can enable humanity to unite, to bring an end to endless and ceaseless conflict, for a mutual preservation and welfare. For it will take a united humanity to be powerful in the universe and to thwart intervention and to rescue the planet from serious and grave decline. In the face of travail is great opportunity, a great gift. It will call many people to their higher purpose in the world and greater service in the world. It will call nations to prepare within themselves and help other nations to prepare. For we cannot afford to have any nation fail to the great waves of change or to this greater community intervention that we're facing. There are some free races in our region of space who have sent us their briefings. They are not interfering in human affairs. They have sent us the briefings from the allies of humanity to help us to prepare for our future and destiny within this greater community of life in the universe. We are unaware and unprepared for perhaps the greatest event in our history. We are unaware and unprepared for the great change that is coming to our world, in our environment, in our nations. It will affect every person. It is a great and momentous time to be in the world. And those who choose to face this will become stronger and wiser and more competent. And those who run away will become weaker and more vulnerable and less able to protect themselves or to prepare for the future. We have reached a great threshold in the evolution and history of mankind, the greatest perhaps of all time. The new message tells us that for any emerging world such as our own, emerging into this greater panorama of life, the greatest threshold is encountering that universe of intelligent life, the first encounters. And it often coincides with the depletion of that nation's resources. For we have become a technological society that other nations can utilize. That's why this is occurring now and not 100 years ago or even 50 years ago. There's so much for me to share with you. But what I'd like you to see and feel is the connection of these two events, both of which can be discerned. There's tremendous evidence of their reality, even the reality of the intervention in the world today, for those who care to look. And for those who do look, this reality becomes unquestionable, undeniable. Let us then have the courage to face these great things as objectively as we can. Will it scare us? Yes. Will it make us uneasy? Yes. Will it make us doubt our future? Yes, of course. But beyond that initial response, you begin to find a greater power rising up within you. A power that says, I will not let this world fail. I will not succumb to foreign deceptive intervention. I will not support war and conflict in this world if it undermines the welfare of people everywhere. I will support humanity's preparation for the great waves of change and for our first encounters of the universe of intelligent life. It's important to understand that the universe is a larger demonstration of what we have here on Earth. So large and so complex, with so many other races involved in a non-human universe. But what that also gives us is our understanding of nature, all that history has taught us about intervention, all that history has taught us about how we must conduct ourselves in the face of foreign powers, how we must be united to be strong, and that divided we are weak. It tells us ultimately that all the religions of the world have come from the same God, given at different times to reach different communities of people, to emphasize different things. And now we have a new revelation from God for the protection of humanity, the future of humanity, the advancement of humanity, the uplifting of humanity. In the face of the greatest threats and difficulties we, all of us together, have ever faced. Doubt this at your own peril. Dismiss this at your own peril. Instead, take the time to look into these things. See what the revelation is telling you. To consider it. For when God speaks, it is not only for this time, but for all times to come. It is for this time and for the future. It is for you and everyone who can respond. That is so very important here to understand.